Hello. Well, another day, another exciting way to recount it. So let's go ahead and do that. So I woke up at around 7:30 and I remember I made a block schedule where I was trying to be good and follow the things that I should be doing for the day. So I did end up going to bed at 12:30 a.m. last night. But even though I got plenty of rest and I woke up at exactly 7:30, I got up out of my bed going to use the restroom, and then I looked at the schedule, and this right here looked very intimidating to me. I just saw all those different things and I didn't think, oh man, I've got so much time to get all this cool stuff done. I thought to myself, oh my gosh, that's so stressful. I don't want to do all that. I'd rather go back to bed. And so I went back to bed. So that's what happened. Now, when I was woken up at around 9:30, my mom needed me to drive out of the way so she could go to work. So I did just that. I said goodbye and that I love her. I then drove my car back up the driveway. I got out and I got into the house. And I remember I was trying to find something interesting to listen to on my phone. And I remember I came across a Neil deGrasse Tyson interview where he was being interviewed by this lady. I'm forgetting the name of her podcast. I think like it has a little guitar jingle. It sounds something like or something like that. Yeah, they were basically just talking about like how likely an alien race existing on planet Earth is. Basically said, just show me the evidence, show me the bodies. We could sit here and talk about all the weird anomalous lights that people said they've seen in the sky, and sure, there are a lot of credible witnesses that seemingly have seen some strange things, but in Neil deGrasse Tyson's opinion, jumping immediately to the conclusion of a flying object you can't identify being a space alien seems extremely preposterous, because that is the most, out there final conclusion you can get to. And of course, he would rather people lean toward more prosaic explanations, like maybe a top secret military flying device, or like a drone, or technology that was being tested that pilots who weren't supposed to see saw, things like that. Um, of course, when you boil it down to the more, believable explanations, it just makes more sense. Of course, what would shatter any of this is any of this preconceived notion of like, oh, this is a bunch of hoo-ha, bunch of nonsense, bunch of people wanting attention, is if we got like physical proof, whether that be, actual pieces of like a crashed craft, or a, alien body, or pictures of aliens. If we got, verifiable proof, physical proof that scientists could look at and actually compare and contrast and, study, then there'd be no room for debate. It's there, it exists, and we're going to learn everything we can about it. The closest thing I think we kind of got to that was the Virginia case, where there was a guy who stated he grabbed one of the beings that was at near the crash site in a military truck, and he got scratched like around his armpit area from it, and then later on he died of like of some kind of disease that wasn't verified. So yeah, and I think it was like studied in like the documentary, and it didn't matter what antibody or solution they gave to this cut. Nothing the doctor threw at it would take care of it, and the guy who got the scratch ultimately died. So that's probably the closest thing we've had to some form of physical evidence. I guess the next best thing would be exhuming the body and going to that area where he was scratched and getting a sample for scientific research. But of course, then you'd have to ask the family and see if that's even okay. And that's where things get where you want permission from the family, and you wouldn't even know if the guy would even be okay with that if he was still around. So it gets messy pretty fast. But yeah, that was probably the closest thing we've had to physical proof. Other than that, I guess there was a neurosurgeon who saw the being for 4 minutes before it was taken from him. He seemed pretty genuine from that documentary I watched. I think it was called, well, it was from James Fox. It was about the Virginia case, but I'm forgetting the name of the documentary. Honestly, the Virginia incident is probably the most compelling, most recent UFO incident that has to do with alien bodies being captured that's ever happened. So many witness testimony, so many people who were affected. There were 3 girls who saw this thing like that was crouching down and looking back and like running away, and they thought it was a demon because it had like what they described as 3 horns on its forehead and big red eyes and oily black skin. And although what's interesting is that when the neurosurgeon saw the being looked it had a grayish, whitish look to its skin. It still had the 3 bumps, but he described the being as looking very peaceful. So, there's a lot of credible witnesses. Apparently, the women were the military in Virginia tried to, buy the mother of the daughters into telling them that they saw nothing, or that they saw something that could easily be explained as like a homeless person or whatever. But the girls never budged from their story. They said they knew what they saw, and apparently they were offered a lot of money to stay silent, and they didn't accept it because the mother would have felt defiled to have told her daughters to lie, and she respected the fact that her daughters told the truth. So yeah, and she even threatened to call the police on these guys who were trying to tell her to, tell lies about what they saw. So yeah, interesting incidents like that do make you raise an eyebrow. I think that this is probably the most credible recent UFO event that has happened. And apparently there was a paper trail for the people who picked up the alien body, supposed alien body. We don't know if it's alien. It could be like, I don't know, someone who just looked weird for all we know. But the fact that they do have a paper trail, hopefully, I'm really hoping that some witnesses come out and share their story about what happened, so we get rock solid conclusion. Maybe even some pictures and some footage too would be great, or some physical evidence as well. So yeah, but anyways, yeah, I got into listening to that thing. I kind of got off a tangent, didn't I? Anywho, as I was listening to it, I was playing this game on my PlayStation 4, Temple of Doom, on the Dreams game, the YouTube of gaming, made by Media Molecule. A really cool game. I highly recommend if you enjoy video games, but you want games to feel like they're returning to the more inventive and creative era, circa like the late 90s and early 2000s era of gaming, where the budgets were just high enough to give you some interesting visuals, but the corporations weren't in control yet, so developers were allowed to be as creative and expressive as they possibly could. So you had a lot of like really interesting and cool games coming out around that era. Um, but yeah, that's what this game Dreams reminds me of, and you get to play as many of these cool little games as you want. And one of those was Temple of Doom, which I think I talked about playing in like a video from like 2 videos ago, maybe. Yeah, I continue playing this. This game is honestly the most fun I've had in video games in a long time. Um, it's basically you have to press the X button, and the longer you hold it, the higher your character jumps. It's a side scroller that has a graphic style similar to like an Atari video game, maybe Atari crossed with like a SNES game. And you basically have to jump like at the right time on different ledges throughout the to get all the way up to the pyramid in the game. Now, like it's not a literal pyramid where like it looks pyramidy. It's just it's implied to be a pyramid building at the beginning of the game in the cutscene. But when you go in, each room's like a distinct block of a room that you go up, and you have to jump on each like area. And it's designed intentionally to be frustrating and hard to beat, to the point where like they even have these stone like faces like have little text bubbles that say, "Ha, you have failed again. Fancy seeing you here. Just give up already." So, you have these guys that are like trying to, you know, egg you on in a way by like saying, "You can't do it. You can't do it." And in a way, it kind of gets you more motivated to do it because you're like, "Oh, yeah, well, I'll show you. Jump, jump, jump." And yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's probably one of my most favorite like games I've played in a long time, and it's like simple graphics and simple controls. Literally, just move and one button jump, and it's simple to learn, difficult to master. Um, Solid level design. Definitely recommend this game. I know you need a PlayStation 4 or 5, a copy of Dreams. Luckily, though, you don't need to have a PlayStation Plus subscription. I found this out by asking Google. Apparently, all you need is just the game to be online, and that's it. And you can play as many of these cool games as you want. And yeah, this is one of those gems. Like, yeah, I'm really enjoying this Temple of Doom game. It's a lot of fun. As I was playing it, my sister was getting ready and leaving for a con, so I said goodbye and "I love you," and then she left. Yeah, she's helping our mill sister out with this con they're going to. They're gonna have a great time, or they had a great time, from what I could recall from seeing her at the end of the day. But once she left, I decided to have this deep conversation. Well, actually, I had it as she was getting ready. This conversation with Gemini, and basically the conversation, it was complex, and it was spurred by like the conversation being had in the Neil deGrasse Tyson podcast. As I was listening to it, I was like, wait a minute, what are the most intelligent, like, if if octopuses are so intelligent, octopi, I don't know, octopi. If octopi are so intelligent, then how come they don't like build cities or towns? And apparently, Google stated that they can. The only problem is they only have like I think it said like a 3-week life cycle, 7-week life cycle. I'm not 100% sure. I don't remember clearly, but they have a short lifespan. And they're also creatures that live in solitude. And on top of that, they are, oh gosh, they live in solitude. Um, Oh, and they are cannibals. So the fact that they're cannibals, they live in solitude, and they have such short lifespans are the reasons why we don't have like octopus cities under the ocean floor. If they were social creatures and they didn't eat each other and they lived a really long life, like heck, just 30 years, octopuses would pretty much be on the same level as humans, but like an alien kind of intelligence. So that was really cool to hear. Um, and then I just got spurred on to asking these other questions about like are they the most intelligent being, or are chimps or apes or the most intelligent being? And apparently, chimps edge out octopi on being more intelligent. And then I asked Gemini, "Hey, what about like what makes humans so special compared to all these animals like chimps and monkeys and things of that nature?" And apparently, Gemini stated that the reason why has a lot to do with the fact that um, because we have longer lifespans and we actually pre-plan everything extensively ahead of time. Every other animal on the face of planet Earth, a lot of them, they pretty much live moment to moment, but they do immense calculations and try to understand how to survive their current situation when they're in that moment. But we, as humans, apparently, what distinguishes us in the animal kingdom is that we look at the situation as a whole, and we do extensive kind of like mind maps or future projections of what you possibly could expect with each new thing we're doing. So I just thought, wow, that's so interesting. I didn't know that. That definitely is compelling. Apparently, our brains are very energy resourceful. Um, they consume about 30% of the calories that we ingest into our body. So I guess it really is true that you are what you eat. And so when I found that out, it kind of reminded me about those AI data centers and how they're so resource intensive, that they're guzzling water and electricity like there's no tomorrow. It made me want to ask, hey, so are there any plans to lowering the negative effects of those data centers? Um, and apparently, it stated that Gemini stated that there are new plans with billions of dollars in funding to create a new type of computer, like a neural computer using artificial neurons, to run much more quietly and much more energy efficiently and much more energy or resource um, less resource intensive. And these new neural chips are in development, in the research development phase right now. Apparently, Google states that they'll be launching very soon, sometime in the mid 2030s. And the reason why things like RAM shortages and like home console and personal computer and like electronic prices are so ridiculous right now pretty much boils down to the fact that AI data centers require immense amounts of RAM in order to function. And so that's why these companies are eating up all the world's RAM to get these data centers to run. And so it's like making hobbyists like gaming a luxury good instead of something that was more standard a few years ago. So apparently, if neuron-based compute takes over the traditional compute that current AI data centers are using, and they instead use this new form of compute that's a mix of neurons and light um, light data, sending data through light, then we could see a return to normal prices for traditional consumer electronics and goods. But stated the soonest that could happen is around 2033, and the latest it could happen is around 2036. So that means we have a full 7 to 10 years of ridiculous prices for video game consoles and personal computers and GPUs and graphics cards for a whole gosh dang decade. So strap in, everyone. If you were looking to buy an affordable PC build between 2026 to 2033, then I'm sorry, but you are out of luck. Such a shame. Well, yeah, after I learned all that, I wanted to tell my sister about where she left, but she needed to go, so I said goodbye, told her that I love her. And she left. I was continuing to play that game, asking those questions more deeper, and then I got on to like what consoles will be like by that point in time, the 2030s. Like, I want to know about how the Switch 3 would be. Apparently, the Switch 3 is, according to what Gemini stated, it's going to be on par with the base PS5, but with more modern architecture. Kind of like how the Switch 2 is like on par with a PlayStation 4, but with more modern architecture. And the same thing with the Switch 1. So I get with that was like a PS3 Pro, but with, you know, modern architecture. So I guess the rule of thumb is every time Nintendo releases a new Switch console, it's going to be a generation behind, but it's going to have much more energy efficient. It's going to be much more energy efficient and be slightly better in terms of its capabilities. So that's a good rule of thumb to keep in mind every time Nintendo releases a new device. Yeah, and I decided to make myself my electrolyte drink because I'm currently on day 2 of the fast, in the midst of it actually. I'm not officially done with my 48 hours until 11:30 a.m. tomorrow. So yeah, once I hit that milestone, my body's going to be in full autophagy mode. It's going to be in hyperdrive, so that's going to be great. And then I'll have one more day of fasting to go, and then I'll be good to go. So yeah, I pretty much made 30, like my electrolyte drink, which it was 32 ounces of water, half a teaspoon of electrolyte mix called Highlight, and then half a teaspoon of salt, sea salt. I mixed that in my container, and it was good to go. I then had a conversation with Ash about why my schedule didn't really work, even though I was so motivated to do it beforehand. And the reason was because I am just very, like, when things are immediate and I know I need to do them, then I get them done. But when things are optional and I know, like, I could put it off, or like it's something that's like not survival crucial, I kind of just ignore it or don't really focus hardcore into it, even though I should. So, you know, learning things about myself, and I think that's really important, so I know how to navigate each day of my life. So that's cool. All right, well, after that, it was time to get dressed and ready to go to work. As I was getting dressed, I was listening to a Area 52 video. It was pretty cool concept that I've never seen any other UFO-centric channel do. The channel takes two guys who are very prevalent in the UFO lore. Travis Walton, who his story was adapted in a movie called Fire in the Sky, and Bob Lazar, probably the most famous UFO whistleblower on planet Earth. For anyone who knows anything about UFOs, they know about Bob Lazar. And yeah, they were just talking at this like bar location, or not bar, but like a diner location in like the middle of the desert. I'm not sure if it was a real diner or if they were just pretending like it was. I mean, there was like a lady at the beginning asking them if they wanted like coffee, tea, water, and then like, gave them sugar and then like a pecan pie. Which, not gonna lie, when I was hearing all that, I was like, "Ooh, that sounds." I mean, I'm not a pecan guy, pie, not at all. I'm pecan pie guy. I'm not that. Um, I go with cherry any day, or apple, or maybe even a Dutch apple pie. That's pretty good, especially with some a scoop of vanilla ice cream that and a cup of coffee. That's pretty good. But yeah, I was listening to this. It was pretty interesting. Bob Lazar was asking Travis Walton about like what the beings looked like and how it was affected by them. But around that time, I needed to get going to work, so I put my phone away. I Before I left, I had 10 minutes before needing to go, so I decided to spend that 10 minutes doing a breathwork exercise that lasted about 10 minutes. But anyways, yeah, I felt pretty good afterwards. Very rejuvenated, very energized. Grabbed my keys, walked out the door, and drove off to work. When I got to work, I punched in, and overall, had sweeps all day, sweep the floors, greeted my coworkers, told some of them about how my fast is going, and then I just sweeped, bagged, took orders out. Not much really to say other than that. I wiped down a wet mess that was around check stand 6. Yeah, and sweep break rooms, sweep the produce, took out the trashes in the bathrooms. I then went on my 10-minute break, where I decided to meditate for 10 minutes. During that break, though, my break was put off until like around the half-hour mark, which was annoying because when I got upstairs, my timer for needing to punch in my sweep went off, so I needed to walk back downstairs to punch in the sweep so I wouldn't get in trouble, then walk back upstairs to do my break. So that was annoying, but oh well, what are you gonna do? Yeah, so after that, I felt very rejuvenated, very relaxed. So I went downstairs, continued my duty where I decided to take out all the trashes, throw them away, and I went upstairs. Took out the break room trash and the bathroom trashes and all the trash. So yeah, I threw it all away, and when I was done, I got some cleaner and paper towels. I brought them up to the front. I wiped down all the check stands. I helped bag. There was like an interesting interaction I had with one of my coworkers, and I told them that I was on a fast, and then they seemed to get oddly peeved about that. They were like, "Oh yeah, well, being a fast isn't good for you. It depletes you of vital nutrients. See, I go on a fast. I don't need to go on a fast. Look at me. I'm fine. I'm a big guy. I need big meals. Otherwise, I'm gonna die." It's like oh, I was asked. I asked you if you were interested in hearing about my fast, and you said yes. So I was like, okay, I'll let you know about it. But then they started to get oddly defensive for some reason, and then I felt like kind of offended because I was like, what the heck? I asked you, you said yes, and then I was in the middle, and then now you're telling me like what I'm doing is nonsensical and dumb, and that I shouldn't be wasting my time. Why introduce me to share something with you if you're just going to berate me for doing the thing? Is this like a projection, or are you telling me like, I don't know, like it was weird. It was really weird. I didn't really get it. Like I told one of my coworkers, they said, "Oh, that's just that coworker being themselves." And yeah, I was like trying to like say why I was doing it, trying to defend myself, but I kept on getting like basically in a way berated about it. And then they even said, "Okay, now you're taking it too personally." It's like, what? You're the one who took it personally. You're the one who was telling me that like you offered me to tell you this, and now you're saying you're like what I'm doing is dumb, and that like I'm like they have more experience than me, and so therefore they're smarter than me. Okay, when you deal with people like that who are, I guess, they hear something only to just say what they believe instead of hearing the other opinion in an objective and receptive way. That's when you gotta realize, okay, this is kind of a waste of everyone's time. This person clearly is uninterested to hear what I have to say, even though they said they were interested, but I guess they weren't. So that's what threw me for a loop. And they took odd offense to it, and then they're trying to turn the tables back on me for just talking about what I was choosing to do. And I don't know, it was odd. I don't understand. It didn't make any sense. I told a coworker about it. They said, "Oh, that's just that person being that person." um I mean, I guess, but I don't know, it just seemed rude. It's really weird. But oh well, I guess I won't be talking to that individual about fasts ever again, because then they're gonna start to take offense to and tell me I'm wrong for doing something that I'm personally choosing to do on my own based on what I've researched, which is that if you go on a fast for like 3 days, you get autophagy, you get ketone production, you have your body recycle old dead cells in your body, um, your metabolism actually, people, when I was talking with the guy about it, like there was a customer who said, "Oh yeah, well, fasting's bad for you." I agree with him. It, did you know that when you fast, your metabolism slows down? And I didn't say anything. I didn't say like, a rebuttal. I mean, first of all, like it's, that was our conversation, not that person. But second of all, um, like I didn't really know enough info about the whole, metabolism slowing down for me to really say anything about it. So I just like stayed quiet because I didn't want to spread any misinformation or look dumb. So I just didn't say anything. I later looked it up, and apparently, yes, your metabolism does slow down, but if you do a prolonged fast, if you do a fast for only like 24 to 48 hours, and this is according to Google, your metabolism actually increases between 3 to 14%. It only starts slowing down after the 48-hour mark, when it's clear no new food is entering your body. So it has to start conserving energy and like, you know, slowing down. But for the first 2 days, it actually kicks into hyperdrive to feed off of what is remaining inside the body. So yeah, that's what I found out. Um, see, the thing with like, things like fasting and medical stuff is there's a lot of nuance to it. It's not as simple as it makes metabolism go slow down and you're not giving your body food, so therefore it's bad. It's like, it's not as simple as that. There's a lot of different factors that go into it that, you know, if you were to understand and take the time to actually listen, you would know and respect someone's decision for doing a thing that they decide to do instead of berating and being rude to them for no reason. It was weird. It was really weird. I guess and then as the person was leaving, they said, "Oh, by the way, I'm going to be eating a big cheeseburger with extra cheese," and then they walked out. It was strange. I guess I won't be sharing anything having to do with fasting with that individual ever again, because clearly, I guess they just were only accepting of that conversation just to be in a fight and not to actually be receptive or consider or listen at all. So yeah, it was a banana show. It was crazy. So that's all I gotta say about that. Moving on. Yeah, so throughout the rest of the shift, I was like bagging and, you know, taking orders out and wiping the check stands. And my coworker cleared lot, brought the signs in, and closed the produce blinds. And I cleared lot at the end. They brought the carts and the signs in, and closed the produce blinds, which I was very grateful for. And yeah, I was like finishing things up. A coworker that doesn't really work in the store during the day anymore showed up, and I greeted them. One of my other coworkers greeted them, who was the cashier, and they even said congratulations on the daughter. I was shocked to hear that. When I heard that, I was like, wait a minute, that they have. How come they never told me? I guess I'm kept out of the loop. Like, but apparently they had their daughter like a year and a half ago, and I didn't know until today. So I congratulated them. Like, oh, good job, that was great. Hope you have a happy life with your family. So yeah, that was a surprise, but a welcome surprise. So yeah, after that, I I punched out, said goodnight to the coworker who had been working in the daytime at that store, only at nighttime, and even gave them a handshake and respect for their starting a family. And then I was walked out with my co-manager, which I said goodnight to, and I left with my flask, which I'm going to be using again tomorrow. And when I arrived in my car, I drove home. When I got home, I greeted my sister, um, asked her how the con went. She said it went well. Asked me how my day went. I said it went mostly well, other than that weird, fasting confrontation event that happened later in the day. But other than that, it was fine. Yeah, we got in a conversation about that. But yeah, after that, I decided to brush my teeth. Well, take my magnesium pills, brush my teeth, and make this video. So that's pretty much the day in a nutshell. Yeah, it was overall good. There was some weird off energy that happened by the end due to that whole weird drama. But other than that, it was a pretty solid day. So yeah, thanks for watching. Really do appreciate it. And I will see you in the next one. Bye, everybody.